Senate should be bold enough to return these nominations to the President with observations that Lawan Maman is from Northeast, and the acting chairman of the commission is from Northeast. And another observation that Mr. Adeleke Adebayo, a member nominated, is from the Southwest, and that we have approved a secretary to the commission from Southwest. We will further observe that the South-South and the Southeast have nobody in this commission. This war against corruption is against everybody that is corrupt. There should be no preferential treatment in the management and running of EFCC. I so submit with utmost respect to my distinguished colleagues in this chamber. Let us not proceed as if we see good people who say, yes, human beings have the tendencies of preferential treatment to their brothers, and we will not allow that in EFCC. So I would like these nominations to be stood down and returned with these observations so that the President will draw members from South-South and Southeast and remove Adeleke from Southwest because there's a secretary to the commission from Southwest, drop Lawan Maman from Northeast, and put somebody from the Southeast because the chairman of the commission is from the Northeast.
The interest of Nigeria first. A situation has been pointed out that has affected everybody, and a situation in which we want to cure. And it doesn't make for good relations within this country for us to say, let us go strictly by the law. The law insists, and that is why we have a Federal Character Commission, that everything must be balanced. And we're looking at this particular instance. And this instance is totally against the federal character principle that binds this country together. And we don't think that mere sophistry or just being, okay, let us leave it, tomorrow we will deal with it. When will tomorrow come? When will tomorrow come? Because at every time we are told, leave it, tomorrow we will do it. And yet, we have a government that is supposed to be committed to the tenets of this country. And so, Mr. President, I continue to join my colleagues to say that we must stand down this and we must reconsider this omission.
And the Nigerians too that have been recommended for confirmation are very, qualified, personalities. But Mr. President, the distribution of these persons across the geopolitical zones of this country is wrong. Very wrong. Mr. President, you will recall that some time ago, when we're considering the confirmation of some nominees that were sent to the chamber by Mr. President, there almost was an altercation between the Senate leader and, of course, some other members of the Senate. He said, let us look at this in the bigger picture. And then, Mr. President, you set up another committee to look at the distribution of these offices across the 6 geopolitical zones of this country in conformity with the provisions of the federal character principle in the Constitution. Up to today, we have not received that report. And you can see that it is coming again and again and again and again. For us not to have anybody from the South-South or from the Southeast in the EFCC, what does that portend? That these are the criminals. You are taking people from other geopolitical zones to, of course, come and investigate them. This is the picture that is being painted. And it is wrong. And on this note, Mr. President, I am saying that this thing be stood down until we compel the executive to send nominations that will reflect federal character principle in our Constitution. This one must not go again.
Last time we had the issue of lopsided appointments in this country, coming from Mr. President. We asked the committee, a committee here, to go and look at all the appointments that have been made under this present administration and come back and inform the Senate with the standing of each geopolitical zone. That committee has not done that job up to now. That committee has gone underground. That committee has refused to come and inform the Senate about the lopsidedness of appointment in the district. Coming to the issue at the ground, we have 6 committees. We have 6 members, very principal members there. The chairman is one, and then you have the secretary. The law, it says 4 persons. The law says that 4 persons, eminently qualified persons, should be appointed from this country. And we know that we have a chairman. We have, outside these 4, you have a chairman. You also have a secretary that comes for confirmation. So we have 6 positions. 6 positions can go around the 6 geopolitical zone, 1, 1, 1, 1. If we do so, we'll be doing substantive justice. But to have it as the way it is and lopsided, it doesn't go well for this country. It doesn't give a sense of belonging to all parts of the country. I have something to say, Mr. President. I have something to say, Mr. President. I have something to say, Mr. President. As the chairman, I'm the chairman, please. Listen, I talked about the chairman. Let me respond to him. Let me respond to him. Let me respond to what he said. Mr. Chairman, I am Senator Utazi. I represent
To the committee. The committee should have done its work. We don't have to come here and grandstand. When this thing happened, the committee, the chairman is from Southeast, and we are talking about shortchanging the Southeast. The chairman was there. He should have talked to you or the leadership. If they observe this, that would have been corrected, not necessarily coming here. If you look at it again, as Senate leader pointed out, I think by the time we refer to the committee, this work is supposed to be part of the committee's job, to make this observation and bring it to the leadership so that the leadership can, call the attention of those that brought the nominee, and they would have corrected this. Why do we have to do this here now? If you look at it, Southeast has 2 members from.
I really sympathize with this situation. Sir, I want to point out one thing. Whatever we do, and in fact, I don't want to blame our committee. Whatever we do, we are guided by the laws. When our committee worked hard to screen the EFCC nominees, I'm sure the committee was conscious of what the law says. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, I will advise that we go strictly by what our committee has presented. Secondly, on this, we could decide to amend the law. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, if you look at the ICPC nominations, the Northeast has nobody. Southeast has 2.
Northwest
2.
North Central 2.
Southwest 2.
North Central 2.
Mr. President,
I agree with you. We should allow this.
very distinguished colleagues, it appears that this is universal. I will advise in this respect as well that we pass this as presented, but correct the defects here to ensure equal distribution. That is to say that each geopolitical zone would have a representation. But as it is now, the law is not infringed upon. We are guided by the law, and I think only an amendment can cure it.
Mr. President, point of order. We can't continue to divide this country. We are dividing this country.
Distinguished colleagues. Distinguished colleagues. I'm coming. Yes, point of order, Senator Utazi.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, Mr. President. Point of order. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, I'm speaking on order 15, privilege. I'm speaking on privilege. Mr. Chairman, I'm speaking on privilege. Any senator may arise at any time to speak upon a matter of privilege suddenly arising, and he shall be prepared to move. Privilege. Privilege. Sit down here. Sit down here. No. Where's the report? Why? I'm speaking. I have the floor. I have the floor. Privilege. I'm speaking on privilege. I'm speaking on privilege. I'm speaking on privilege. I have the floor. I have the floor.
You have a rowdy floor. A rowdy floor.
I have the floor. I have the floor. Marafagan, sit down. 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 I have the floor. I have the floor.
Sit down.
I have the floor.
A rowdy floor.
A rowdy floor. I have been allowed by my chairman to say something.
They gave you a rowdy floor.
Although consider the reports on the anti-corruption and financial crime on the presidential nominee for EFCC, ICPs, and Senate resolved to step down the consideration of the two reports for further legislative consultations on the nominees. Is this a true reflection of what transpired in the committee of the whole?